Today we are reading Hanu's Adventure, a limited edition cartoon storybook released by Clock Studios, narrating a tale where Hanu shrinks in size and saves Dreamville. The book includes occasional peculiar dialogue interspersed throughout. Preface. This story belongs to the coolest guy in the Clocky cartoon. He's full of sharp wit, sticks to his morals, tenacious and brave, undaunted by danger, often helping his friends out of bad situations, and has thwarted Boss Stone's plots countless times. He's Clocky's most trustworthy comrade, the baddie's most feared opponent, the beloved great hero of Dreamville, Brother Hanu. Always garbed in a stylish coat, with a suave dress hat over his head and shades to conceal his piercing gaze, he patrols Dreamville wordlessly. He's more composed than the erudite Professor Owl, more decisive than the revered Old Man Wood, and more popular than the flamboyant Miss Note. 22 crocodiles came this time, all bringing their heavy tails with them. In the previous story, Brother Hanu defeated the buzzflies plaguing Dreamville, but the despicable Boss Stone capitalized on this chaos and stole the shrinking machine that Professor Owl invented. In this newly arisen threat that Dreamville faces, Brother Hanu has been turned into Mini Hanu by this shrinking machine and can't defeat Boss Stone with his once mighty strength. Are you riding out personally? But don't underestimate Brother Hanu's wit. This suave, silent lad isn't just some savage musclehead. This time he's going to be just like his old friend Clocky. Even if burdened by his miniature physique, he'll use his brains and guile to defeat Boss Stone, wrest back Dreamville from the villain, and return it to everyone. A very cool, Oh, you, always so dashing. Part 1, Chapter 1. Once the buzzflies left Dreamville, this haven once again regained its joy and laughter. One fine day, Clocky was once again at the plaza, pulling off his usual pranks. "Ah, Clocky, you mischievous brat," chirp. "I'm going to get you this time." The angry red bird pursued Clocky relentlessly, pecking away at him at every chance. It was the origami bird with the worst temper. Clocky really got under its feathers this time. "Tick-tock, Boss Red, please stop it. All I did was give Professor Owl's statue a makeover. I'm sure he won't mind." "Nonsense, of course he will. They must never be allowed to enter. This is the home that we've toiled away for, spending untold blood, sweat, and tears to build." It's just as Clocky said. Professor Owl's statue was an atrocious mess of colors, especially the dial on his face. Both hands looked like he had grown extra needle-thin whiskers. A truly comical sight. "Ahem, Clocky. Professor Owl is the origami bird's teacher, and a patron to the foundation of our Dreamville. You must not offend him." Old Man Wood, the person who liked to lecture the most in town, hobbled over with a branch cane in hand. Following behind him was the super cool Brother Hanu. Cough. "Brother Hanu, you say something to him as well," Old Man Wood said. Brother Hanu emitted an aloof sound with that perennially cool demeanor of his. "Abandon our plans to lure the enemy deep into our lines, but the difference between our forces is..." But this made both Clocky and Boss Red instantly cease their bickering. "Tick-tock, I'm sorry. I'll clean up the statue right now." The minute hand on Clocky's dial drooped, and he lowered his clock face. In the eyes of Clocky, Brother Hanu wasn't just his bestie, but also his arch-nemesis. He would never want to cross this stone-cold, deadpan wolf. "I understand, but you have to come back, safe. It won't be the same without you." Brother Hanu nodded in approval as he watched Clocky remove his clock hands from the statue as instructed. He turned away to leave the plaza, disappearing into the shadows of an alley alone. To him, quelling the town's disputes but a trifle. The real trouble lies with evildoers who would threaten the town's peace. They would not be so easily deterred with a simple grunt. And so Brother Hanu must be on high alert every single day, scouring every nook and cranny in Dreamville to eliminate the evils that lurk in dark corners. But it is this very meticulousness that allowed Boss Stone to swoop in. Part 1, Chapter 2. Hanu stumbled across a peculiar television in the corner of a street in Dreamville. Hanu sized up the television suspiciously. His intuition told him that it must belong to the origami birds and Professor Owl, the only candidates who would tinker with such a complicated machine. Compared to watching TV, the other townspeople prefer enjoying Miss Note's performance at the theater. Hanu decided to return the television to Professor Owl after some consideration. However, a strange wave of electricity surged through his body the moment he touched the television. He realized that something was terribly wrong, but it was all too late. Following a sinister and boorish laughter, the scenery before Hanu started to distort. Ha! Hanu, you took the bait. I knew you couldn't stop yourself from touching that thing. All the crocodiles will be swimming your way. Stop going any further. This is a trap. When Hanu's vision cleared up, he noticed that the sky has suddenly turned overcast. The sun that was shining brightly moments before was nowhere to be seen. Wait a minute. Something is covering the sun. He looked up and finds himself coming face to face with a gaping mouth. It belongs to the greatest nemesis of Dreamville, Boss Stone. Boss Stone is very tall indeed, but he's never been so huge that he can easily crush Hanu with his foot. Boss Stone, with his mouth wide open, lunged at Hanu, but Hanu was agile enough to dodge the sneak attack with a roll. With a groan, Boss Stone fell to the ground. Thunderous sounds of explosions and collisions. Despicable Hanu, just you wait. Hanu ran off without turning back. Even though he was as agile as a wolf, he still found himself bewildered by the situation. How come Boss Stone had become so enormous? Why did the surroundings look so foreign to him? Could he still be inside the trap set by Boss Stone? What on earth is going on? Part 1, Chapter 3. Hanu soon discovered the truth. Boss Stone didn't become bigger, it was he who had dwindled in size. This did not bode well, given that Hanu had always relied on his strength to overcome Boss Stone. Now that he had turned so small and couldn't even carry the launcher of the Hanu missile, how was he supposed to handle Boss Stone? While Hanu was still struggling to comprehend the situation, Boss Stone kicked off his evil scheme. All houses were made of precious gems in Dreamville, and are therefore treasures desired by Boss Stone. With his underling little crocodiles, he barged into Dreamville brazenly, and started demolishing the houses of the residents. Without Hanu's protection, the vulnerable residents could only cower in corners. The origami birds that built those houses gathered on the paper tree and started chirping at Boss Stone in protest. These scoundrels are planning to land via the residential area. There's no way to open fire at all. Ha. Make as much noise as you want. Hanu won't come to your rescue anymore. All the gems in Dreamville will be mine. Boss Stone laughed like a maniac, watching Dreamville turn into a wreck. This had been his most successful raid against Dreamville since he set his eyes on the town. The stocky crocodile strutted around with his belly sticking out like a victorious general. When he walked past the plaza, he immediately caught sight of Professor Owl's statue. Listen up. This silly bird statue is made of premium material. Bring the whole thing back. I'm going to turn it into a statue of myself. Just as the small crocodiles were ready to make a move on the statue, an unexpected figure emerged to block their way. Tick-tock, stop it, jerks! Brace yourselves for my clockwork! It was Clocky. Clocky would never allow anyone else to wreak havoc in Dreamville. He alone was the only troublemaker in town. Clocky tried moving his minute's hand with his finger to launch his clockwork. Everything in Dreamville could come under the control of his dial, and he could even alter everyone's thoughts and turn back time. Thanks to this magical power, Clocky became the people's savior, just like Hanu. Nevertheless, Hanu is still the protagonist of this story. Before Clocky could move his minute's hand, the small crocodiles working for Boss Stone beat him to it by pouring a bucket of odd liquid all over his head. Tick-tock, what's wrong? Why can't I move? Clocky's body became sticky, and his minute's hand was stuck to the dial. Indeed, I'm still no match for you when it comes to commanding a battle. Please stay safe. Haha, Clocky, this super adhesive glue is specially prepared for you. You can stay here and be the new statue. Tick-tock. As the glue dried up, poor Clocky was stuck to the ground of the plaza. The residents in hiding were panic-stricken and could only pin their hopes on the still absent Hanu. Where exactly was Hanu now? Hold on, I think I heard him just now. Part 1, Chapter 4. Boss Stone had occupied Dreamville and taken over Old Man Wood's mansion. His room was filled to the brim with looted gems. Dreamville shall be called Stoneville in the future. Wait, the name isn't grand enough. It should be Stone Empire instead, Boss Stone was drooling from his ravenous mouth, so carried away by the rosy picture he painted of the future that he had forgotten about a problem he had yet to solve. Meanwhile, on the border of Dreamville, the hardworking Professor Owl was still engrossed in designing new buildings for the town. Unaware that his past works were being destroyed by Boss Stone, he was leisurely searching for stones suitable to construct houses. "How are you doing? I knew you wouldn't go down with that hunk of repurposed spheroid trash." Suddenly, Professor Owl came across a moving stone. It piqued his curiosity, as he had never seen a stone that could move on its own in his long years of living. He quickly flew over, picked up the stone with his beak, and was surprised by its soft and fluffy texture. As it turned out, it was Hanu. Professor Owl immediately put Hanu down and asked in a puzzled voice, "Cuckoo, how did you turn it so small, Hanu? You're even smaller than my students." Hanu let out a resigned grunt. Professor Owl quickly put two and two together and figured out everything. He lost the shrinking machine he invented during the invasion of the Old Buzzflies. Note, this story is part of the Clocky and Old Buzzflies animated series. The relevant Dream Bubble episodes are available for purchase in all major Dreamscapes. And it might have fallen into the wrong hands, leading to Hanu's transformation. You're pretty lucky to have crashed into the enemy's main ship, but I don't think you're fit to fight anymore, judging from your injuries. Cuckoo, only a shrinking machine can change you back. If Boss Stone has it, you'll be in hot water. Even someone as smart as Professor Owl was at his wit's end. However, Hanu didn't see it as an insurmountable problem. If getting back to his original size was the only way to rescue Dreamville, then he would do everything he could to achieve that. If he must defeat Boss Stone in the process, then he would give it his all to achieve it with his petite body. Seeing Hanu's determined eyes behind his sunglasses, Professor Owl knew that Hanu had made up his mind. Wait, is he going to execute the plan inside a crocodile's abdomen while he's injured? This is outrageous. But then again, he's right. We have no other options left. I've got it, Cuckoo. Your courage is impressive. You're truly the hero of Dreamville, Cuckoo. Professor Owl had decided to help Hanu defeat Boss Stone. Firstly, he sent the origami birds to investigate Boss Stone's location. Then he had the birds set up various mechanisms that could give Hanu a boost. When everything was all set, Professor Owl picked up Hanu again. Professor Owl, as well as all the origami birds, believed that this light and diminutive figure would rescue Dreamville. Let's go. I'll help you defeat Boss Stone, Cuckoo. Hanu nodded and flew in the direction of Dreamville with the flock of birds. I've got it. I'll count on you to carry everyone's dream once again. Arr.